This is my second time in Ukraine, and it's a little longer than my last time. Last time I was only here for lunchtime, but today I'm here for 2 nights, so it's a great pleasure to be here. Okay, so we're going to get going because I think you guys are all ready for a break soon. We have an exciting panel after this. I'm going to talk about corporate innovation, but I'm going to talk really about disruptive corporate innovation and what that really means today. What is innovation? This is a first good question because as you heard, I teach at IE Business School. We have an accelerator there that accelerates about 50 startups every 6 months. And a lot of my students, they're always saying, where do I come up with an idea? And I say to them, listen, just look for a problem that exists and try to fix it. But even better, get on the App Store or on the Android store and look for apps that already exist. What kinds of problems they're solving? The reality today is that innovation is not so much about original ideas. It's not so much about total creativity. It's much more about impact. So if you take a solution that already exists in the United States or in Europe and you bring it to Ukraine, that's innovation. And especially for an investor. If you tell an investor, oh, I've come up with something that's never been done before, you think he's happy about that? He's scared. Really scared. Not with my money you're going to experiment with something that you've just come up with. So innovation is much more about impact. Remember Leonardo da Vinci? How many of you remember Leonardo da Vinci? Remember he drew pictures of helicopters 500 years ago? That was creativity. Was it innovation? No. Did anybody ride a helicopter 500 years ago? No. So we have to remember that. Innovation is about impact. There was a doctor in Arizona that, he had a big clinic, and he thought that, it was scary how little kids were so scared of going into this machine. How many of you have gone into this machine? It's scary, right? No? No. Well, for most of us, it was scary going into that machine. So he wrote to GE and Siemens and said, can you guys innovate, do something to make this less scary? And they both wrote back and said, listen, this is a $20 million machine. We can't, change this for kids. So do you know what he did? He painted the machine. And now the kids were dying to go in there. No, they weren't dying, but, they enjoyed going in there. That's innovation. Let me tell you about GoPro. How many of you have a GoPro? Okay, I have a GoPro too. GoPro is a very interesting story. Now, imagine if you're an investor and some two surfers from California, they show up and they say, we're going to compete in the camcorder sector. We're going to compete with Sony and Panasonic. What would you say? Crazy, right? Well, do you know what these two guys said to themselves, why they decided to compete in this space? Because they asked themselves one simple question. Who has a relationship with that camcorder on the right? Nobody. Can you imagine saying, oh, I have a relationship with my Panasonic? What? Or my Sony? They said there is a need for having a relationship with your camcorder. But how are we going to create relationships with a camcorder? Very simply, let's make it uglier than sin. I mean, look at that thing on the left there. It is ugly. Ugly is cool. But then they said, let's do even more. Let's do this. Let's hire extreme sports people to put their videos on here so that everybody feels like an extreme sports person that's using our camcorder. Let's make it 180 degrees so it's different. And then look at this brand. Be a hero. Do you think any Japanese company can come up with a brand like that? Be a hero? No. These people ended up having millions of downloads and millions of people uploading their videos up there. 50,000 extreme sports people in the United States only. Do I look like an extreme sports guy? No. 9 million people bought GoPros last year. 9 million. I have a relationship with my GoPro. It could be ugly. I mean, it's a little prettier now, the new models, but still, I buy every accessory that comes out. If there's another copycat of GoPro, do you think I even look at it? No. Because I've built a relationship with GoPro. And look, relationships means they can charge me anything they want. I will buy every accessory. So what caused the disruption here? Was it a new business model? No. They're still selling the thing, probably making more money than Panasonic and Sony in camcorders. It was a brand strategy. It was a strategy based on we are going to build relationships with our clients. When you have a brand strategy, you can charge more and your customers are loyal. Look at all these people that have built relationship businesses. Most of these people didn't come up with these ideas. They adapted ideas that already existed. 20 years ago, it was about a better product. Then it was process innovation, cutting costs. Today, it's business model innovation. And the ultimate is the brand innovation. What allows us to create relationships more than ever before? Everything that Kyivstar is all about. Look at this. Social media, cloud computing, video, mobility, all these things that we can use our phones with. I just came in from the Philippines last night, specifically for this event. In the Philippines, 25 million people make $1 a day. They spend 37 cents of that $1 a day on their phone. Internet. Is that crazy or what? Maybe, maybe not. You think the telcos think it's crazy? No. But you see, people are looking for connectivity more than ever before. And today, we connect emotionally here more than even face-to-face many times. Think about that. You have probably more emotional conversations with people through this than you do face-to-face. And this is what's changed with respect to innovation today. Let's look at this. Who do you think has a better relationship with their customers? Apple. I have a relationship with my iPhone. Do you think I'm going to change it if somebody says, oh, I've got another phone for you. It has twice the functionality at half the price. You think I'm going to change? Are the iPhone people here willing to change? Did you ever think that Apple was a greedy company that only made phones to make money? No. That's amazing. We never thought Steve Jobs was a greedy person trying to make money, even though he made bigger margins, and they still do, than any other phone maker. Because we believed in their story. We had a relationship. The problem that, unfortunately, Samsung has is that people usually don't have a relationship with the Samsung product. Why? Because they have a product strategy. I recently had dinner with an executive at Samsung, and he said to me, Professor, what TV do you have in your home? I said, I have a beautiful 60-inch flat screen. And he said, what brand is it? I said, Samsung. He said, what TV did you have 15 years ago? A Sony. What TV are you going to have 10 years from now? I don't know. And he said, do you think it'll be a Samsung? Maybe, maybe not. I don't care. That's exactly the problem. If you're a product company and you don't have relationships with your clients, they will move as soon as a better product arrives. People with Apple, they don't even think that there's a better product out there. I don't even think about it. All I think is that eventually Apple will catch up. So, this is what it's all about. Everybody is ultimately looking for a brand strategy, building relationships. And why is this important for startups? Because you have a great opportunity, startups. Because big companies have to reinvent themselves in a way many times. Take Google. Google started as a technology company, the best browser. Then they became a product company with all these products like, Google Docs and the like. Today, Google is trying to become a brand company. They're trying to force their way into you having relationships with them because you use them everywhere. So, how do you develop a brand model? Emotions. This is what it's all about. Look at your watch. How many of you still have watches? Did you spend more than $30 on that watch? Yes. That was an emotional decision. Think about it. If you wanted the best time, you could buy a Chinese watch for $20 that gives you perfect time. I have a Swiss watch with an Italian brand. Cost me a fortune. It is 5 minutes late every month. Do you think I care? No. I mean, it's a watch. Why should I care? Every month, I'm in the shower and I, change. I look at my iPhone and I put the time on the watch. I don't care. I have a relationship with my watch. Who cares if it doesn't give me the right time? You see, today innovation is not about a better product. Anybody can have a product, a watch that gives better time. A Chinese $20 watch is better. But does that Chinese watch have a story? Does it have an emotional connection with me? Whether it's status or differentiation or originality, I love my watch. I'm not going to change it. Luxury is the best example of using passion to spark emotion. The luxury companies convey passion all the time. That's why we spend a fortune on these things. How can you justify that a Japanese woman that makes $40,000 a year spends $4,000 on a Louis Vuitton bag? How can you justify that? They do. You see, this is the beautiful thing about luxury today. In the past, only old rich people bought luxury products. Today, everybody buys a luxury product, even if they can't afford it. Why do they buy luxury? Why do we make emotional decisions, people? Think about it. What are we looking for in life more than ever before? Meaning. We're looking for meaning. Why do I have this watch? Because it means something to me to be in the shower there thinking this watch is special for me. We're always looking for meaning because unfortunately our lives for many people are much emptier than they were in the past because we're totally connected. This thing connects us to more people all over the world, but it doesn't connect us to the person that we have with us at night. We're probably more disconnected to those people than we ever were. We're looking for meaning, and that's why we're looking for stories. We're looking for ways of differentiating ourselves, of feeling special, unique. So what is corporate innovation today? Well, there are 4 types of innovation. Traditionally, it was marketing innovation. Then it was incremental innovation. Discontinuous innovation is where you have new business models. And then disruptive innovation is where you completely change the rules. Look what Airbnb did to the hotel industry. Today in Paris, France, 25% of all tourists stay in Airbnb hotels. Now, at the beginning, the hotels thought, oh, that's okay. Those are the cheap hotels, cheap apartments. Those are hippies staying in those apartments. Hippies. The hippies today are staying in 5-star apartments. They're competing with the George Cinq and the luxury apartments. Today, about 40% of those Airbnb rooms in Paris are luxury apartments. The hotel companies are running scared because their traditional competitors were other hotel companies. Now it's people that have nothing to do with hotel companies. It's people that somebody has a relationship with that's a customer of yours. These are some of the examples that I talked about earlier of people that are disrupting industries every day. So what's the role of big data? We hear about big data, but what is big data? Everybody hears about big data. We hear about these big data strategies, companies using big data, but do we know what it is and do we know why it makes a difference? I'll give you an example. Gillette. How many men here use Gillette? I used mine this morning. My Gillette has 7 blades. Do I need 7 blades? Think about that. Do I need 7 blades? I mean, in the year 2000, the Mac 3 came out. Remember that one? 3 blades. That was exciting. Gillette is innovating every year. They say by the year 2100, they will have 14 blades. Do we need 14 blades to shave? No. But it feels good, doesn't it? Let's look at Starbucks. They took a 50-cent cup of coffee and turned it into a $3 cup of coffee. Okay? And they gave us a unique experience. Amazing. Now you've got people that are, addicted to Starbucks. They have a relationship with Starbucks. I'm one of them. Now, everybody that has a relationship with you is going to try to figure out how much can I charge this person? That's called the consumer surplus. What you are really willing to pay. And Starbucks has figured out that most people that buy a $3 cup of coffee are, if you push them hard enough, probably willing to pay $5 for that cup of coffee. Think about that. So every time you go into Starbucks, they say to you, oh, would you like to try our Kenyan special tonight? Like, no, give me the same one I had. Every time you go in there, you see more and more choices at higher and higher prices. They're trying to segment their way into capturing that $5. In Madrid, there's a company that charges you €4 to bring to your home anything you want. Food, books, whatever you want to buy. The 10th most popular product that people pay €4 to receive in their home is a Starbucks cup of coffee. They pay €4 to get delivered into their home a €3 cup of coffee. Does that make sense? No. But you know what? You know what it's like waking up in the morning and having your Starbucks come in the door? You don't even have to get out of your pajama. It's a special feeling for many people. So I don't know how many of you heard about the Target story. This is Target, the department store in the United States. What they did, they used big data to figure out, okay, that if people bought 25 products, there was an 87% chance that they were pregnant. They took millions of pieces of data, like we heard earlier, capturing data from your customers. And this guy figured out that if they bought those 25 products within a period of time, say 3 months, those people were pregnant with an 87% chance. So what happened? They sent these coupons to people that they thought were pregnant for baby products. And they sent one to a father of a teenage girl. He got so upset, he called up Target to complain. Turned out his daughter was pregnant. Is this legal? Sure, it's legal. Is it moral? Probably moral too. This is the future, people. Now, let me tell you why this is so important here. There was a company in Boston, okay, a boutique that makes baby products. In the past, they never considered Target as a competitor because Target's like a cheap brand. This company, which makes baby products, never had a competition in the past. All of a sudden now is losing clients to Target because Target is building relationships with its clients. Even if they are a cheaper brand, do you feel good when somebody actually knows you're pregnant and cares and sends you coupons for the best baby products? Sure you do. This is what's happening. Big data is going to change the rules of the game. Because if you don't take care of your clients and try to predict what they want, somebody else will. And many times, it won't be a competitor of yours. It'll be somebody else in another completely different sector that all of a sudden is going to disrupt your business. These are some examples of business models that use big data. Now, if you look at these, the ones that are the most powerful for startups that you should be looking at are number 1, knowing your customer, and number 5, improving your customer experience, because these are the two that develop customer relationships. This is how you get closer to your customers. And you as startups have a real opportunity to do that compared to big companies who have to struggle behind this brand that no one feels any attachment to. Take Nissan, for example. I do a lot of work for Nissan in Japan. Does anybody know what the Nissan, under the Nissan brand, what the logo is? What the tagline? Everybody know? Anybody know? What do you think it is? When you think about Nissan, what do you think? Green car? Family? Low cost? Value for money? Something like that. Well, next time you look at the Nissan commercial, see what it says underneath. Innovation for excitement. They have spent hundreds of millions of dollars pushing innovation for excitement. Do you think anybody believes that? No. A startup has a much better chance of getting people to believe that than some big company that's trying to reinvent themselves. So all these business models around big data are effectively trying to be more efficient. They're trying to get more money from their customers, but ultimately they're trying to have brand alignment, which is they're trying to keep the brand promise. They're trying to build relationships. Data in the digital age, listen, everything is Gmail. Look at Google. Google is trying to capture every piece of information from us. They read every email that we write and send. What are they trying to do? Eventually, Google wants to predict what we want before we know it. They want to be able to tell us, Oh, Paris, it's 4 o'clock. And guess what? You're walking next to a Starbucks. Isn't it time for your cup of coffee? Oh, you're right. Yeah, I need that cup of coffee. That's powerful. That's where they're going. Companies are able to make connections now more than ever before. And if you'd be surprised how many of those buildings that you see around the place are actually data repositories. Private information is the name of the game now. They're capturing information everywhere. In the past, it used to be public. Academic studies really mean nothing anymore because they can't keep up with the private sector. So the ultimate goal of all these companies is to detect your emotions before you do. They want to go after your consumer surplus. If you are paying $22,000 for a car, but you're really willing to pay $30,000 if someone would knew you well enough, that's what they want. To use big data to understand how much they can squeeze. And data is growing dramatically. I mean, just imagine this, that 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 90% of the world's data wasn't there. That's how fast it's growing. What does this mean? Less consumer surplus for people because they get to know you better. And at the end of the day, if you're not playing this game, you're in trouble because somebody else will, and probably not one of your competitors. So the new focus is on delivering authentic experiences and outcomes. You see, the problem is that most companies today are still worried about better products and services. Everybody has the same product just about nowadays. If you think you're going to compete only on product, forget it. You're going to have to compete with a better user experience. The why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs didn't get up in Las Vegas when he introduced the iPhone and said, oh, here's a phone that does these 5 things. No one would have bought that phone. Steve Jobs got up and he said, you see this phone? It's going to change your life. And people believed him. So, as I said, customers are seeking experiences and outcomes. Look at this. How many of you have an Apple Watch? Not too many people. I don't. At what point are we all here going to be forced to own a smartwatch? Maybe 2 years, who knows? At the day that that watch knows more information about us than we know ourselves, we will have to own that watch. Think about that. It's going to happen. That's where Google and Apple are going. So who's disrupting your business today? It's probably not who you think it is. Somebody's targeting your customers, and it's not your traditional competitors. New ideas can be found outside of current concepts. People, this is what I said earlier, 90% of all innovation today is a copy of something else. Maybe the word isn't copy, adaptation. That's a $40 word for copy. Adaptation. They've taken something that already exists and made it better for their market. That's Airbnb, that's Uber, that's 90% of all successful innovation today. So there is nothing wrong with emulating what is happening in other countries. If you don't innovate today, you will disappear if you're a big company. The pace of change is so dramatic that a lot of people are just completely disappearing. You need to move away from just gut and instinct decisions that we made in the past to data-driven decisions. Take this example. I'm going to end with this. Let's see if somebody... This is a quick exercise. If I got time, I got exactly 5 minutes. Quick exercise. You have all been made chief of innovation of this company. This company makes boats. 90% of the boats they make in the United States are custom made for people. You want exactly the type of boat that you want, they make it for you. You're now chief of innovation. This is a $120 million company. They don't have a lot of money to spend on fancy new boats. How could you innovate? Think about it. Anybody have an idea? What? Add colors, what else? Add sensors? New materials? Let me tell you what happened. Yes. What? Invite people to give ideas. Well, let me tell you how they innovated. I found out by accident. I was having dinner in Madrid Three couples and the chief executive of a big company in Madrid. And at the end of dinner, he brings out his laptop and puts it on the table of the dinner in the restaurant. And the wife goes, "Oh my God, not again." I said, "What's happened?" "Oh, he does this every night." "Oh, what does he do?" He opens the laptop and he shows us his boat being built in real time. He could see step by step how his boat was being built. And he loved it. He would get home at night, and get into bed and look at his laptop. Is that innovation? Sure it is. Do you know what it's doing to the customer relationship there? The other guy that was at the table, he was like, "I'm going to get one of those boats." You see, innovation today, 20 years ago, you would have thought, "Oh, we got to build a better boat, new aerodynamics." Do you think people care how fast that boat goes? Do you think people care how heavy it is? No, they want an experience. They want meaning in their lives. And for this poor guy, CEO of this company, buying this boat has given him meaning to his life every night. The poor wife. For 3 months. Thank you. I just wanted to show my Twitter handle there. Can you bring back? Please tweet. I want to make sure that everybody around the world knows that we are busy doing things here in Ukraine. That one in the middle is my Twitter handle. And it'd be great if we tweet a lot so that we can show the world that we're here, alive and kicking. Thank you.